Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Painted Dog TV. A beautiful sunny afternoon here on the Rietspruit Game Reserve, and we're so incredibly lucky because right outside our headquarters on an old airstrip are these two beautiful young male cheetah just chilling out in the shade of this acacia tree, Lochilia tree rather. And as you can clearly see, not too bothered about anything right now.
Station number 1.
These two young male cheetah have recently been released onto the reserve. Having been brought in, I believe, from the Waterhole private game reserve, which is up in the northwest of the country. First time I've seen them out the boma. So I am a resident on this reserve and have been closely monitoring their health and their general demeanour over the last 2-3 months that they've been in the boma. So there's a holding boma on this reserve where if any animals are being introduced to this reserve, they'll be held for different periods of time depending on the species before they get released out into the wilderness of this area. And the reason we do that is they need time to acclimatise to the reserve and to settle after the stress of transport from one reserve to the next. So it's really special to now see them out in the wild and relaxing, not stressing with a massive fence around them, but rather just enjoying the freedom of the African bush here. So there's a question that's just popped up: how long have I been a guide here? So my family have lived on this reserve for the last 8 years. So I've been driving around on this reserve with my family, just enjoying it for myself, really. So never really guided anybody in a commercial sense on the property. So this is actually my first commercial drive on this property. I did some guiding for a commercial lodge that's associated in the same Rietspruit Game Reserve, but that was quite a while back. But yeah, I've lived here for 8 years, but I've been guiding for 13 years at a number of properties in South Africa, mainly in the Kruger National Park, in the Sabi Sand and Timbavati private game reserves. So with regards to what they usually hunt, so these cheetah will predominantly hunt medium to small sized antelope here in the reserve, and probably find that most of their prey is going to be impala, as they are the most abundant. But we also have very good numbers of steenbok and duiker on the reserve, which they'll hunt. And as they get a little bit bigger, they're still quite young, these males, as they get a bit bigger they'll get bolder and maybe take on slightly larger prey like young wildebeest or young zebra. But for the time being, they'll be focusing on smaller prey. Good afternoon, Mary and Michael. Good to have you with us. Hope you are both well. You can see those tails and those ears flicking regularly. They get disturbed by the flies throughout their afternoon as they rest under the tree. You'll notice how they both are not lying down with their heads for long periods of time. Oh, there's a lovely roll. Cheetah are one of your lower ranked predators, so they always need to be very alert to danger around them. So you'll always find that one of them will have their heads up on high alert, scanning, both using their vision and their hearing and their sense of smell actually to detect a predator that might be approaching. A big threat to them is leopard and lion, and in fact, just before I got to Painted Dog headquarters this afternoon, I found some very fresh tracks of a big male leopard, which is only about 400 yards down the road from here. He was heading this direction. So case in point, a big male leopard would be a big threat to these cheetah. So they have to stay very, very alert. They cannot just sleep flat to the ground like the lions do, and like the leopards often do. So they've got to be very alert. Just to answer the question on guiding in the Sabi Sands and what I know about the leopards and cheetahs there. Well, what I know about the leopards there is they are very abundant. Sabi Sand has got a very high population density, probably one of the highest in the world. And because private safaris have been operating in that area for 60 odd years, 70 odd years, a lot of them have become incredibly habituated to the vehicles, so it makes for some incredible leopard viewing. There are some cheetah around in the Sabi Sand, but not many. It's not the right sort of habitat. And because the Sabi Sand is open to the entire Kruger National Park, the cheetah there tend to push into their preferred savanna habitat. So slightly further east of the Sabi Sand, you'll see a better number of them. So I think in all my years in the Sabi Sand, I could probably count the number of cheetah sightings I had on my two hands. Not many. But there are some there. And then the question about the smaller prey that cheetahs would kill in the Rietspruit, it was what I mentioned earlier, the steenbok and the duiker. Those are the most common smaller antelope here. But they'll also catch other things like scrub hare. I've seen them catch scrub hares before. I've seen them catch warthog piglets before. So yeah, there's a number of small things that they go for here, but I would say the most common prey for them would be impala. There's a question here, what is the body temperature of a cheetah? I have absolutely no idea. That's a very good question. But it's been a very hot day today, so 37 degrees Celsius today. It's fortunately cooled off a little bit now. We've had a bit of cloud cover come in. So they are. I'm pretty sure their body temperature is running pretty high, although they've done a pretty good job of keeping themselves hidden from the direct sunlight under this tree. But in terms of the exact temperature, that's a very good question. I'll go and figure that one out maybe this evening when I get home, but I'm not sure. It's a good one. Mary, yes please. I like that idea. I'd love to be the one that shows you the first leopard here. As you know, I'm crazy about leopards. So I'm actually going to be leaving these beautiful cheetah in the next little while to go back to those tracks I found. There's a waterhole not far from where I found the tracks. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same leopard, but I've seen a male leopard at that waterhole a couple of times. Not entirely relaxed with the vehicles, he's still a little bit nervous. I think it's a young male leopard, probably about 3 to 4 years old. We'll go have a look there shortly. Fingers crossed. Matt, can you just zoom in on the paws of that cheetah on the left and just have a look at those claws? So I was just thinking now about the tracks of the leopard, and you know, we know that cheetah and leopard both occur on the reserve, and when you're looking at tracks, the immediate telltale sign or difference between a leopard and a cheetah are those claws. The leopard's got fully retractable claws, so you don't see the claws registering in the sand, in the spoor or the track. But with these male cheetah, you would definitely see the claw marks at the front of the toe in the track. So that's a dead giveaway. There are other differences, but we'll go back to those tracks. Thank you, Matt. We'll go back to those tracks now, everybody, because I need to get off the vehicle and just try to figure out a direction and see where he's gone to. And I'll be able to hopefully show you the track of the leopard, and you'll see what I'm talking about in terms of the difference with the claws. A question about the heat of cheetah, or body heat of cheetah after hunts. Very good point. Yes, they run extremely high temperatures, obviously massive amounts of energy when they hunt, and you'll actually see once they've killed their prey that they'll need to take a break, a rest, to cool off and to regain a bit of energy before they start feeding. Heavy panting. Yeah, they burn up a lot of energy, and I'm pretty sure that temperature, body temperature, spikes really high when they, sprint out at high speed after their prey, and so they take a little while to just catch their breath before they start feeding. And then with regards to famous leopards on the Rietspruit, famous, I don't know about famous, but there's certainly a number of individuals that we see regularly here. And the one that is certainly my favorite is a female leopard we call Leopard female. And she has actually got a cub at the moment. The cub is probably now about, I think it must be about 6 or 7 months old, maybe a bit older. And she's the resident female on the northern part of the Rietspruit Game Reserve, which is pretty close to where we live, actually. Where I live, where my father lives, where my brother lives. And so we see her pretty regularly. She's quite elusive. She's not easy to find, but she's certainly one of the individuals that's incredibly relaxed with the presence of a vehicle, which is remarkable. So we get to spend some time with her and her cub every so often. So fingers crossed in the next couple drives, whether it be me or Joffers, anybody might be able to find her. Keep a lookout for the Leopard female. So there's a question about the tracks of the cheetah. So as I mentioned before, identifying cheetah tracks is pretty easy. I mean, easy for somebody maybe that spent time in the bush and looks at tracks regularly, because the difference between them and the other two cats that we regularly see, lion and leopard, are the claw marks. We don't see the claws registering in the track or on the sand from lion and leopard, only from cheetah. And then the lobes at the base of the heel are also very distinct on a cheetah, much deeper grooves between the lobes, and an extended edge on the outside of their track, which is different to the leopard and lion again. That's how we'll tell the difference between the tracks. In terms of coalitions of male cheetahs, this is the coalition. I think there's still one other male on the reserve, but this is the only coalition on the reserve, this pair that we have here. There's another coalition in a reserve which is right next door to us on the Rietspruit Game Reserve. We neighbour the other reserve, which name I've just forgotten now. Is it called Maditlo? No, Blue Canyon is what it's called, that's right. The Blue Canyon Reserve has got a male coalition on that property as well, which I think actually broke into this side of the reserve recently and had to be sent back, which is pretty cool. I was hoping while we were sitting with these two males that they might get up, even if it was just to reposition, but they seem pretty settled, everybody. I think they're quite content with this spot. They might get up a little bit later to go and hunt. They don't look extremely skinny, they don't look like they're starving, but they are predators that hunt regularly. So they may get up and hunt a little bit later this afternoon, but I think we're going to leave them here. I want to go on a leopard mission. I'm going to go back to those tracks and to the waterhole I was talking about, which is very close by here, and just see if we don't get lucky there, and then continue with our drive. So we're going to leave the cheetah males now in their comfy spot. What an absolute privilege to have them here and literally right by our headquarters, and to be able to come and spend 20 minutes with them, with you all. Very special. Alrighty. Let's go see if we can find a leopard. So as I'm leaving those some monkeys dashing across the road in front of me. A little bit of traffic. So I'm actually going to start at the Waterhole first, everybody, which is just up ahead here on the right. Just go stop there for 5 minutes and scan the Waterhole. See if we don't get lucky with that leopard, and then we'll head to the tracks after that. We're just approaching the Waterhole now, everyone. It's right here in front of us. The last time I was here, which was probably about a month ago now, this young male leopard was just lying on the opposite side of the dam, of the Waterhole. Since I've left those two male cheetah, they're still lying up, same position on the old airstrip just south of Rhino on the eastern side of the road, probably only 80 meters south of Rhino. I think Sandy and Alex making their way to relocate. He's not in his spot. So you see that big tree that Matthew's got in picture there now. When I was with him last time, he got up from the little sandy patch below and then went and scent marked up against that tree on his way out of here once he left. Going to jump off quick, everybody, and have a look and see if we don't see any tracks here. Doesn't look like he's come down to drink on this side of the waterhole, at least. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back to those last tracks I had, everybody. They're not far from here. I'm going to need to just take a walk around there and see where the tracks are. Heading for that leopard. Yeah, Sandy, if you head south along the airstrip, you won't miss them. Very close to the road, just on the eastern side of the road, maybe 80 meters down.
Okay, copy, thanks.
Mary, sorry, I'm just reading your question now about cheetahs and wild dogs fighting. Yes, they do fight. Although, to be honest with you, there's usually not much of a fight. And it's the same with most predators when they take on cheetah. The cheetah, just being one of the lowest ranked predators, just usually take off. They get out of there as fast as they can. You might find that when the coalitions of male cheetah get bigger, they might feel a bit more confident taking on maybe a small group of wild dogs. I've only ever seen footage of it. I've never actually seen it myself whilst out on safari. But yes, I've seen footage of male cheetah coalition of like 4 or 5 animals taking on a couple of dogs over an impala kill. And the way that the cheetahs actually try and intimidate the dogs is by running in toward the dogs and smacking, banging their paws on the ground and trying to make themselves look bigger toward the wild dogs while they're trying to chase them away from the carcass, which was pretty epic to see in this documentary that I watched. But like I say, I've never seen it myself. I suspect that this leopard might have come down into this little creek that I've just driven through. I'm pretty sure this individual is an unrelaxed male leopard in terms of the vehicles, not comfortable with the vehicles, especially if we're close by. And I think when I drove through earlier, he probably heard me coming. That's how fresh these tracks are. And he moved off the road just up ahead here. I just hope they haven't been driven over now, because we've just had another vehicle come past us. I don't know if there's any of that track left there. It's been driven over. Bugger. I'm just going to go quickly a bit further along the road. There were more tracks further down here that I want to show you. There was a question about the name of the waterhole we were just at. The name of that waterhole is Mamba Dam. I assume it got the name from the owners of the reserve because they probably saw a black mamba there once, or several times. Ah, here we go. Those tracks are a bit better now. So you can see Matthew zooming in on the leopard's tracks here now, everybody. And yeah, I think you can see.
I'm going to show these ones closer to you.
These ones here. Yeah.
You're right.
These ones here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so folks, if you were looking at cheetah tracks, now it's not so easy in this very soft sand for you to see claw marks, but you would distinctively see just a small little depression, a little claw mark in front of the toe. So a leopard doesn't have that at all. I don't know if you can zoom on this one here, Matt. It's a little bit clearer. It might show up nicely. So also the track of a cheetah is usually a little bit longer than that of a leopard. Leopard's got a wider paw. The cheetah's got a longer front paw. And then the heel is also quite different. The cheetah's back of its heel on the either side of the edge actually extend. The outside lobes extend a bit further back, leaving the central lobe sort of higher up in the track. So those are the differences, but the tracks I did want to show you guys were a little bit further up the road there and have been driven over, but this is that male leopard I'm hoping to try and find. But I need to go back, everybody. We're going to turn around and we'll go back to where the last sets of tracks are, and I'm just going to listen for a little while and also just see if I can figure out where he's gone to from there. From Jive Bunny, hello to Gareth and Matt. How do you enjoy driving Brent's new vehicle? I love this vehicle. It is such a dream driving this little thing through the bush. It's just so easy to get around and to get into the smallest, tightest gaps and get under trees and over rocks, and certainly can get into a lot of sightings a lot easier in this vehicle than you can in the bigger Land Cruisers I'm used to driving. Right, so the last tracks that I saw, everybody, were here. Now, we're not going to pick them up on the camera because of the soil type here. The substrate doesn't make it easy to see the track, but I just want to quickly have a walk up ahead to see where he's gone off. It's very difficult here. He must have gone into this drainage line, everybody. I can't see any more tracks of him coming past here. think we might have to go find another leopard, to be honest with you, everybody, because of the road network in this area and where we are. There's no way of actually gaining access to where I think this leopard might be, which is in this drainage line behind me here, this little creek. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go towards Leopard Dam, which is a beautiful waterhole on the property, everybody. We're going to head that direction. I've seen leopard around that area quite a few times recently. Just go see if we have any luck down there. I think he's somewhere in there, somewhere in that thick stuff. He's probably watching us right now, everybody. He's got a good little spot that he's hiding in. He must be in there. There's no tracks of him coming out on either of the roads close by there. That's okay, we'll see him another day. Megan's just asked the question, do you have a favorite area on the reserve? Sure, I have many. But I think some of my favorites are on this section of the reserve we're on right now, actually. A little bit further north of here, there's some big open areas where there's lots of general game, which is always beautiful. But it's the views of the Drakensberg Mountains behind us that I absolutely love the most. They've always captured me ever since I first came up to Rietspruit about 14 years ago. You know, to be in the bush and have an incredible view of those mountains right on your doorstep is something very special. And then also some of the little riverbeds, the dry riverbeds on the Leadwood side of this reserve where I live, have just got some of the most incredible trees. Fig trees, jackalberries, weeping boerbeens, and there's actually like a fig tree forest along one stretch of one of the rivers, which I absolutely love. It's just really, really beautiful. Great area for leopard as well. Often get rhino and elephant in that section too. Hello everybody, following yourself. Lekker man. Where are you off to? You're heading to...
Go check the cheetah, yeah.
Lovely.
You go see them.
Yeah, we were there with them earlier, it's very nice. Enjoy it.
Cheers.
Have a good one, cheers. Another question, favorite place to look for wildlife on the reserve? Anywhere, to be honest. This reserve is really productive throughout, lots of different habitat, lots of game. So yeah, we could get lucky anywhere on the property. Any chance of seeing bucket? I don't think we will have luck with that tonight. Unfortunately, we had no luck finding the pride this morning, or the male lions for that matter. They were a bit elusive this morning, but maybe on the next drive we might get lucky. Can you show me the fig tree forest? I'd like to see rhinos and elephants. Yes, I can, but not today. Today, that's too far for us. The Rietspruit Game Reserve is a really big reserve. And for us to get all the way there, we'd probably run out of time before this session ends. So that's for another day. Also, we believe that the elephants currently are on a section of the reserve that we don't have access to. So that's a pity, but again, another drive, another time, I'm sure we'll come across those elephants and possibly even the rhino too. But this is a productive area we're in for white rhino right now, everybody. In fact, black rhino too. I've seen black rhino very close to the waterhole that we're heading to now. So you'll see me regularly just moving off the road, everybody. That's just because I'm looking at the road to look for tracks. It's really cool. The tracks that I saw now on the road are of a porcupine that walked along here sometime last night. There are lots of porcupine on this reserve. So too honey badger, pangolin and aardvark, the two anteater species as well. Although sightings of them are very rare. They're quite elusive and predominantly nocturnal, so we don't get to see them all that often. But I've seen them all on this property. Certainly some zebra tracks on the road here heading towards the waterhole. Just looking around me at the height of the grass, it's still so thick at the moment. You can imagine how easy it is to drive right past a cat if it were lying down in this long grass. Makes it really tough at this time of the year to spot them. I'm really looking forward to the winter months. It's then that we usually see a lot more leopard during winter. A lot easier to spot them. question here about Bucket and BB. One that I'll struggle to answer, to be honest. I don't know them as Bucket and BB. So I'm not too sure which is which. But what I do know is all of the lions on the property are thriving. The question was, how are Bucket and BB doing?
I'm not sure about BB, but Bucket is doing well.
Yeah, Bucket, I think I know which one's Bucket, and it is, yeah, very healthy. So we've just approached the waterhole I was telling you about, everybody, which is now here on the left. I see movement in the water, I see ripples. I'm not sure what it's from, but there have been hippos that have been in this area of late. What we'll do is we'll just drive around to the other side. It's a little bit thick here, we can't really see too well from this side, but on the other side of the waterhole it opens up really nicely, and maybe we'll see who caused those ripples. Have you seen them in here recently, mate?
I have.
Okay. Just quickly look down here. I didn't realize that the water was this far back still.
Yeah.
That's okay, I'm sure I can get around. So we've got some fun up ahead of us here, everybody. It's quite wet. Just hold on to it, everybody. Good. No harm, no foul. Right, now we might be able to see what was causing those ripples, everybody. Oh yes. Thank you, Matt. There we go. Going to go a little bit further up ahead. We might be able to look back to where we first started at this waterhole. monkeys just up here on the dam wall. So you'll see that we've found some vervet monkeys, everybody. They're having a day at the Waterhole. I love spending time with these primates. They are truly entertaining, especially the younger ones. I'm just scanning with my binoculars now, everybody, across the Waterhole while we're watching the monkeys, and I don't think it was a hippo that made that disturbance in the Waterhole. So the monkeys are presumably here for two reasons. Water, sure, definitely one of them. But also the trees that grow around the edges here produce a lot of fruit. And then you can see them moving through the grass. They'll actually eat a lot of caterpillars, vervet monkeys. And they're looking for caterpillars and other insects that might be on the blades of grass. We've seen a number of them now moving around, and the troops of vervet monkey can sometimes get up to about 30 individuals. Quite a lot of them in a troop, all led and dominated by usually one male. Now, whilst a number of them are feeding on the ground like that, you'll find there would have been a couple of them in the top of the trees here that'll scan and look for danger that might approach around the Waterhole. And so when they spot a predator, they'll sound the alarm, and that's something we're always listening out for, hoping to hear the alarm calls of monkeys. It helps us find the cats. Oh, well done, Matt. So Matt's just spotted a little grebe in the water, which has just gone under. They dive looking for fish. It's one of the most beautiful little birds, gone off to the left. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely beautiful little bird. A little grebe. Nice capture there. Right, everybody, it is pretty quiet here around the Waterhole, and there are certainly no hippos in here for the moment, so I'm going to keep going. I'm going to check out a couple of other really good spots. Not far from here there's more water, man-made waterhole not far from here, which I want to go and have a look at for any signs of rhino and leopard.
Kilo Bank and also in Cayenne. Copy, thank you Alex.
Some more porcupine dung on the road there, everybody. Will most certainly be a different individual. It's amazing how many porcupine move around here at night. In fact, here are the quills on the road of said porcupine. You'll see Matt's going to show you now, everybody. So these are shorter quills, which are usually the ones on the lower flank of the body. The long quills that we often find on the road as well are towards the tail end of the porcupine and drop pretty regularly. It's not often you actually see these short ones, but they are so beautiful, these little porcupine quills. Oh, cool. I will just now. Yeah. Historically, these quills have been used to make pens. Way back when it was a popular device for writing. And yeah, they're actually incredibly sharp, which are used by the porcupine as a defense mechanism against predators. So I've actually watched a leopard take on a porcupine and come off second best because of the quills. The quills just really are so difficult to get through. This leopard ended up with a face full of quills, paws full of quills, and the porcupine survived and managed to get away. Matt's just handed me a quill which he found recently, and it just shows you the difference. I mean, look at how long this one is. It's almost, 5-6 times the length of the ones that are on the road here. Very, very sharp tip, but really beautiful. A lot of people will actually collect them and use them for decorations in their homes. They're really beautiful things to hang on to. Wonder why the porcupine doesn't hang on to them better. But they do, they naturally just drop. They'll just drop them quite regularly actually along the roads, but sometimes you'll drive along the roads and you'll find a whole clump of them on the road, and you usually know that that's because that porcupine has had a run-in with a predator. But they get away from these cats more often than they actually get killed by these cats. I have seen a leopard kill a porcupine before, but it was the most amazing thing because it kept repeatedly trying to get this porcupine while it was walking along the ground, on the ground. And what a leopard does is it actually tries to swipe its paw underneath the porcupine to roll it, so it can then grab the throat on the underside of the belly where there aren't many quills here. So this whole section here is free of quills. But it had no luck doing this. This young male leopard repeatedly tried, and he ended up getting quite a few quills in his paws. And then he kept harassing this porcupine to the point where the porcupine backed itself up right underneath this thick raisin bush. And this leopard, incredibly, what it did from there is it jumped on top of the raisin bush and slowly descended through the branches down toward the porcupine. And just as it got above this porcupine that was hiding, dead still, quills still raised, but hiding dead still under the bush, this leopard in one foul swoop just went in and grabbed the porcupine on the head and crushed its skull, and that killed it instantly. And the leopard then managed to drag it out, and we watched, myself and my guests sat there and watched this for an hour as this leopard then just consumed the porcupine. It was a remarkable sighting which happened many years ago in the Sabi Sand. But like I say, more often than not, they actually get away from these predators thanks to these beautiful quills. Question about the bee eaters. I actually saw some earlier. I was going to stop and point them out, but just before I stopped, they flew off. And those were the European bee eaters. So most of our summer migrants are still here, and the European bee eater is one of them. But there are a number of different species that you can see here on the Rietspruit. So it's the European, the little bee eater. We might actually now and then see white-fronted, although I haven't seen the yeah, then carmine. I've seen carmine this year. Carmine bee eater, southern carmine bee eater. But I haven't recently. But they're certainly all here on the Rietspruit Game Reserve. The birding here is phenomenal. We also sometimes get forest species that come in from the forests on the Johannesburg mountains here that disperse searching for food down here in the Rietspruit Game Reserve. We're not far from the mountains, which is really, really cool. So I've had some remarkable sightings of, forest dwelling bird species coming down here, which is awesome. But great bird life on the property, on the reserve. Becky Bennett says, Matt, you're doing a great job as always. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. What water species or bird species are associated with water? Lots of different birds that we usually get around the Waterhole. Obviously we saw the little grebe, but we often get the hammerkop. We get the three-banded plover, which is one of the smaller ones around the waterholes here. Common sandpiper. I've even seen wood sandpiper here before, which is really cool. It's not as common to see the wood sandpiper. Lots of ducks and geese. So the whistling ducks. Lots of Egyptian geese. I've seen lots of comb ducks on the waterholes here on Rietspruit. And then all your herons as well. So lots of different heron species. The bird life truly is really good here. So there's a question about the leopard killing a porcupine by crushing its skull and how they don't get quills in their mouth. Trust me, they do. But there actually aren't many right on the top of a porcupine's head. They start just behind the skull here, on the neck. And it's amazing how this young leopard recognized that, and that's where he killed the porcupine. But leopards do have just incredibly powerful jaws. So to crush that that poor porcupine skull didn't require much effort, to be honest with you. It's amazing. It's just
Confirm the location where you think they might be.
right. Moment of truth, everybody. We're now approaching the water. Another thing I love about this vehicle is how quiet it is. It's incredible. You know, I've slowed right down now as we approach this waterhole. And it's really cool to be able to go in so quietly. A lot of the other game drive vehicles are really quite noisy. Some zebra tracks on the road here, heading towards the waterhole. So you can see the little water hole that I was talking about, everybody. I mean, it's not quite the same as what we've just come from, of course. It's actually called a crip. Just basically like a drinking trough, which was put in for the animals in this area many, many years ago. And they still keep it full. But it does attract a lot of animals, including the rhino we spoke about, leopard. I've seen leopard drinking here. The lions have been here a few times, but just about everything, especially in the winter months. And I'm seeing some tracks of rhino on the road here, but they're not fresh. There were rhino here today, but I think early this morning. See, there's a camera trap here.
And the Rhino Revolution.
Oh, really? Okay. So you'll see just on this little structure, this little hide here, where they can sometimes view wildlife from, this little trail cam. So that little camera has been set up by another organization called the Rhino Revolution, which have done a lot of incredible work with the rhino of the Rietspruit Game Reserve in terms of bringing them in, but also protecting them, and then also have a facility where they can help protect and raise orphaned rhino at their facility. And they've actually released, I think it's 5 orphans which they managed to rehabilitate and raise at that facility onto this reserve, the Rietspruit Game Reserve, which is really awesome. So they've set up this camera trap here, this trail cam, presumably just to keep a record of the rhino that are coming past here. They can identify them now pretty well, the entire population on the reserve, and we just like to keep track of them and make sure that we're obviously seeing them regularly, but then also at the same time want to keep an eye on their horns. Sadly, we've had to dehorn all of the rhino in this area, like many of the reserves today in Africa, because of the poaching problem. And the rhino population here are also dehorned, so they like to just monitor the length of the horn because it's something that keeps growing back, and so we need to regularly remove that horn, keep it trimmed. Okay, I'm going to keep moving, everybody. Head along to another little beautiful spot, one that I'd mentioned before, a waterhole where we get to see quite a lot of general game, which is out in the more open parts of this section of the reserve with great views of the mountains. A place called Seskant Krip. We're going to head that way now, everybody, and just go see which animals are hanging about there. I might actually spend some time there because usually this time of the day I get lucky with rhino at that little waterhole as well. I actually drove past it on the way up to Painted Dog headquarters and drove past probably about 25 giraffe that were around this waterhole. So we're going to head that way now. Sorry, last station, can you please repeat?
I just relocated to Rhino and the southern fence line of Hyena.
Okay, copy that, thanks. A question about the water birds again. Rails? No. Never seen rail here. Crakes? Yes. I've seen crake here. Although not for some time, to be honest. And then there was a question about the purple-crested Tarocco from Kauru, I think. Oh, there's some giraffe up ahead, everybody, just as we spoke about them. These might be the ones that came from the waterhole. Yes, to answer your question just quickly, we do have purple-crested Tarocco here. Absolutely stunning bird. They're quite abundant along the riverbeds. They prefer those areas where the fruit grows on the trees in the riverbeds. Hopefully we'll get to see some Taroccos. Such a beautiful find we have here though, everybody. A small journey of giraffe. There's 6 of them here. And the one that Matt's zooming in on now is a young male, and he's got a couple birds on him. One of my favorite birds, the red-billed oxpecker. These amazing birds spend their entire lives combing through the fur of most of the mammals out here, looking for ticks and other small parasites which they feed on. But a really beautiful bird, and amazing relationship between them and the animals that they feed on. They provide an incredible service to them, of course, by removing them of those parasites, but at the same time also often act as an early warning system to predators. So So these birds will sound the alarm call and fly off in a hurry if there were a leopard or a lion close by, which would then get the giraffe's attention. Monkeys. I'm just busy listening, everybody, to some monkeys that were alarm calling. I can't hear them anymore.
Go on again,
Same that way, eh? I'm going to take a drive a bit closer that way, everybody. Yeah, there's loads of giraffe. There's even more coming out at the back here. I want to move quickly though, everybody, so I'm going to try and get past these giraffe without disturbing them too much and get to where those monkeys are alarm calling. Could be leopard or lion in that area. That's amazing how many giraffe are on this reserve. I know there were a lot of our painted dog followers who were very excited about the population of giraffe here. We are spoilt with this species. They are thriving here, everybody. You can see Matt's spoilt for choice. Everywhere he points the camera at the moment, there's just giraffe. Really, really awesome. Question about the yellow-billed oxpecker on the reserve. No, I've never recorded it here. I'll have to check for you if it is recorded on the Rietspruit, but I've never seen it here. Three young giraffe here on the left-hand side, which Matt has got in shot right now. Definitely going to have to just briefly stop and appreciate these youngsters. Very inquisitive. Beautiful. These youngsters are being joined by an adult cow and an adult bull. You can see the size difference of the bull. He towers over the others. My phone's going to die. Okay, thank you. So we've just heard lions roaring, everybody, just as we were sitting here with the giraffe. It does sound like they're still quite a distance away. It's definitely not what would have upset these monkeys. But we're going to go past where the monkeys were alarm calling, everybody, and then we'll head in the direction of where the lions are calling right now. Very, very cool to see the giraffe, but also so exciting to know that there's definitely some predator movement at the moment. Monkeys alarm calling up ahead, and yeah, like I say, lions roaring to the north of us, everybody, possibly towards the waterhole I was talking about earlier. Stations. I've just had audio of lion again. It sounds like somewhere north of Seskan Krip. I'd like to go follow up in that area.
also looking around in that area, because the report was exactly River Road and twin crossings, but I'll look this side and you come from that side.
Copy that. Thanks, Kev.
Kevin, we could hear vocalizing from 442 about 45 minutes ago, but it wasn't very loud.
Yeah, Ken Poole posted, so I'm sure he's got a good lock on it. And, so I'm just following up where he thought they were.
So it's interesting, I've just heard a report over the radio. So my father is sitting at home at his house here on the reserve, and he's heard the lions calling not far from the house. Sounds like just the other side of the river. My dad's house is built on the bank of one of the rivers on the river here. And so he's just reported it. And his next door neighbor is Brent's father. So they live right next to each other. Brent's father's just jumped in and he's getting out to where he's heard the lions roaring everybody to go and see if he can find them. We're going to head general direction. Yeah, we all know, not all of you, but a lot of you will know, I'm always looking for a leopard. I think the monkeys were. They're just here now on my right hand side. Thank you. Behind us. We're not going to get where they are. These are now directly behind. And I'm not going to up on the monkeys anymore. We're going to head towards where we heard the lions roaring, everybody. So a couple of questions have just popped up. One of them she is getting ready for birth.
I'll always be with you.
Right, sorry everybody, I think you might have lost me for the last couple of minutes just as we were moving away from that little dry riverbed. I'm still moving quite steadily through the bush here to get to where I think these lions were roaring. Now we're not entirely sure which lions it's going to be. Which means the other two males for the most part together as well as a unit, but none of them were found this morning, so it's always exciting to try and figure out where they all are and what they do last. Follow the breakup in the connection, everybody, but we are very close now to the Waterhole, where I wanted to head toward and just switch off and listen for these lions again. Further than we thought, I think. Right, everybody, so just busy enjoying this beautiful sunset that's busy happening over here. And we're just going to sit here for a little while and see if we don't hear these lions again. The little waterhole I was telling you about, everybody, is right in front of the vehicle here. And so we just want to sit here for a while. It does attract quite a lot of rhino, along with other general game. But at the same time, just sitting here and waiting to see if we don't hear the lions roaring again. It did sound quite distant from where we heard them the first time. Just love this time of the day. Obviously the sunset is beautiful, but why I love it so much is it's at this time of the day that these predators now will generally become really active. We've obviously heard the monkey's alarm calling, which, as I said, was most likely a leopard. But then also the lions roaring. Hyenas will become active. The cheetah, those two male cheetah we had early this afternoon, they're probably on the move right now, searching for something to eat. They'll hunt just before it gets dark. They'll hunt and then settle again before, when it's dark. They don't like to move around too much at night. Kevin for Gareth.
Go ahead, Gareth.
What's the lineup at Lodgepan?
You're very noisy, just try again.
I'm just looking for the lineup for Lodgepan.
I'm nearly there, I'll give you an update.
Copy, thanks.
David leaving the lock of the elephant. You have 4 vehicles at Lodgepan already. Now, as long as everybody's on one side, not parked all over the place, you mustn't crowd them.
I'm hearing a lot of people at Lodgepan. Nevertheless, I'd like to take a standby, please. We probably
Yeah. Oh, they're at Lodgepan. I've just spotted some kudu moving out in front of me here, everybody. I'm just going to move that direction, not far from us here. Let's go see if we can get a better view of them. It appears the kudu have disappeared, everybody. But that's okay. We have impala in their place. I can see the kudu, but you all aren't going to see it. It's just disappearing into the thickets beyond the impala here. Can you see one there? Okay, not to worry, thanks. I think there's too much activity around there. I'm not going to respond.
Kevin for Hazel.
Yeah, Hazel, you'll have to stand by. There's 6 vehicles here.
I always feel for these impala at this time of the day. You know, we've just spoken about how the predators all get active now, and it must be just an incredibly stressful night, every single night for them. The reason they're running now is they're being chased around by a ram. Just a single male impala which is chasing them around, trying to herd them, trying to keep them within the bounds of his temporary territory. But yeah, it must be incredibly nerve-wracking every night. They've got excellent eyesight, but it's not as good at night as it is during the day, and of course the predators have much better nocturnal vision. But for them, it's safety in numbers. There's so many of them. When they do sleep at night, and they don't sleep, you know, they don't have, REM sleep like we have. They rest at night. There's so many sets of eyes, ears, and noses paying attention to predators that it's not that easy for a leopard or a lion to sneak up on them. Alright everybody, so it sounds like the lions have been located this afternoon. The males, that is. Probably the ones that we heard roaring, but they are much further north than I had actually thought, and we're unfortunately not going to be able to get up there tonight, but stay tuned, we will get there. So what I'm going to do with the remainder of our time that we have together is drive around and see if I can find us a leopard. There's a lot of leopard movement in this part of the reserve, and as mentioned, they will be active now. This is their time. I'll be heading the direction of our headquarters because there were obviously those fresh male leopard tracks up there. I don't know if we'll quite get that far before we end our session this evening, but there's another little waterhole between here and that point where I regularly see leopard. A young leopard, actually, a young female leopard. So I'm going to head that way now. Just going to quickly make space for this other vehicle. Full of some very happy people on safari. We've often found this young female leopard hunting along this road that I'm driving on now. So I'm just scanning under every single bush right now. She doesn't actually very often walk out in the open here along the road. She walks in the tree line here, between these two water holes, the one we've just come from and the next one up ahead. She knows that there's an abundance of impala in this area that are attracted by the good grasses and browse that they find in this area, but also the two water holes are just a permanent supply for them. So she sits underneath these bushes during the day, and then now would be moving between them. Wow, the sky is just getting better and better. Just spectacular tonight. Most beautiful sunset. we need now is the impala to start alarm calling. We've driven past quite a few herds either side of the road, and their distinctive nasal snorts, which they give off when they're alarm calling, are quite audible. We'll be able to hear that from a distance, which is the sound they'll make if they obviously see this young female leopard. So I've just gone into sneak mode again, everybody. I'm driving very slowly now through this section as we approach the waterhole I was talking about. All good, thanks Kev. I'm almost back at 8.
Lots of space available at launch pads if you rely it. Yeah, water backup.
appears to be a large herd of impala which came here to drink. We've unfortunately just disturbed them, but with them being around, not likely that there's a leopard sitting here waiting for us. So I'm not going to waste too much time here, and I also want to move on to let the impala have their drink. They might have come from far for this drink. And we'll keep pushing up towards where those tracks of that male leopard were. We're not far from that area now. Enjoy your drink. What I think we'll do, everybody, is we'll quickly shoot up to the Mamba Dam, the first waterhole we started at. My money's on the fact that that male leopard I had tracks of earlier is somewhere around that waterhole. Just go sit there for a couple of minutes. Just see if we don't get lucky. There's that view I keep talking about, everybody. You can't beat that view. Certainly not up here in the Lowveld, the Kruger Park area. In terms of being on a private reserve, that's quite unique. someone mentioned earlier in one of the comments how lucky I am to call this reserve home. And yeah, that's exactly that. It's a privilege, really. It's amazing that this is where I come home every night and where my son grows up. And it's really awesome to have to be able to share it with you guys on these drives. Leopard, where are you? Come out and say hi. Yes, please. Very close now to where we looked at those tracks earlier. And not far from that waterhole. Jive Bunny, thank you. Yeah, it's been really awesome sharing it with you. And hopefully lots more to come, everybody. Right, so this is where we had the last tracks, right here at this junction, everybody. Now I would guess that this leopard is already on the move, probably has been for a little while, and most likely has come out of this little spot where he was hiding and gone hunting and patrolling his territory. And I mentioned before that I've watched him scent marking under that Natal mahogany tree, far side of the Mamba Dam. So I'm just going to pull up there and just give it one last look. Maybe he's there right now, following his same routine. What a treat that would be. Once again, we have some impala drinking at the waterhole. Everybody. Again, thanks to everybody who joined us this afternoon. It's been really wonderful sharing this special place I call home with all of you. Just having one last scan with my binoculars around the water's edge and toward the Natal mahogany tree. Don't see him now. somewhere close by. Look forward to trying to track him down for you guys in the future. Him and all the other leopards of this area. But thanks again to everybody for coming out with me this afternoon and joining me, and for all the awesome questions. It's really, really cool to share this place with you and share what little bit of knowledge I have about wildlife. But yeah, join us on the next couple of drives. I don't know when I'll next be jumping on one, but I'll be back as soon as I can. So peaceful out here. Goodbye everybody. Thank you very much for joining me. And Matt here on Painted Dog. Have a wonderful day. And we look forward to being out here with you again all very soon.